All right. We will call Courts and Public Safety Committee to order. Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Beggs.
Here.
Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Mr. McCormick.
Here.
Mr. Erickson.
Here.
And Mr. Walker.
Here.
Very good. With that, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. My computer just did something. I lost the date. May 14th, 2026.
I'll make a motion
to approve the minutes.
All right. Mr. McCormick with a motion. You want a second? Mr. Hardy? Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Walker.
Mr. Walker. Support, Mr. Erickson. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Agenda's approved. Any public comment for the Courts and Public Safety this morning? All right. Sheriff, handgun systems.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The undersheriff wasn't able to make it. We're kind of splitting duties. He's at the limited access Dune community meeting that's going on right now as well. So he went to that. I came here to speak with you. Undersheriff had forwarded a packet to be included. I'm sure you've all seen it. We have done some fundraising to find a revenue source to cover this. Deputies, the correction officers, etc., have long been asking for us to upgrade, and it was more so the optic on a gun, or going to an optic, than it was necessarily the gun. But through the investigation of this, we found that it was more responsible for us to upgrade the gun with that was ready for an optic, or have an optic platform built right into it, than it was to try to modify our existing guns. So with that, we did, and really a lot of the heavy lifting is done by Lieutenant Bosley, and he's here to help if we need any further questions. But he worked out a trade deal for our existing guns, and as you've seen, we got some our revenues. A lot of it came through that truck that was seized and then auctioned, and then there was some auction property from our property room that had been building up over the last couple of years that went through Claude McMillan Auction Service. We took back a bunch of buckets of brass that we have been collecting. Most of it was our spent brass, but some of it was state police brass also that had been failed to be collected properly, but we have taken back all those. And then some commissary funds to help cover the rest of the cost of the purchase of the new Glock 17s with an aim point optic on them, alien gear retention holsters, which come highly recommended. And so we believe we've got the funding mechanism in place for the purchase, and so we're now coming to the board to see if the board has any questions and for asking for permission to proceed. It's been really obvious to us at the range that the optic is the wave of the future and increases target acquisition speed. Target on time is just ridiculous how much faster it is with an optic, and I'm sure Mr. Beggs can tell you all about that. He thoroughly embarrassed me at the range with his optic as opposed to my old iron sights, and I used to be a pretty good shot.
Yeah, I would just echo. I've been running not the same pistol, but a similar sighting system for probably 5 years on my own pistols. And the old iron sights, front and rear sight, old eyes, everything. The red dots are really they're game changers as far as speed and accuracy. And we're not a county that thankfully has to use our firearms very often, but when we need them, when the deputies need them, they need them right now. And so
yep.
it is the right move in a budget neutral situation with the funding that you've found through various mechanisms. I think it's a good plan.
We're one of the last counties in West Michigan. All the way around us have went to red dots. I just was at Sheriff's Conference earlier this week and spent quite a bit of time with Newaygo County Sheriff, and he said that they had just went to a Glock with a red dot on it. They just made that purchase for their entire department there as well. So it's obviously the wave of the future in law enforcement.
Remind,
Tim?
Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
Sheriff, I only have one concern.
Yes, sir.
And it's not about the firearms at all. The funding, once it goes into the treasurer's office, you know, it has to be approved by the board and all of that. My concern is this. We have a contract with the POAM. The Board of Commissioners has a contract with the POAM. In the list of equipment furnished for the corrections officers, it does not state that we furnish firearms for the corrections officers. I wish, Sheriff, that seeing you're getting firearms for all the corrections officers, there would have been discussion with the Board of Commissioners first before we got this far into it. I don't think it would have been denied, but you sit on the bargaining committee, and I wish that would have been brought up ahead of time, you know, because we're responsible for the financing, and there's a considerable amount of financing when we're doing this, and I just wish that we would have had a discussion about that ahead of time.
Okay, I obviously hear your wish, your concern. I guess that was an oversight on my part. I'll fall on the sword if I failed to bring that. You know,
Well,
there's.
And that is the reason I'm going to vote no on this, because we have a contract, and our contract does not allow us to do this.
Okay, but in reference to that, the contract doesn't, it doesn't cover a lot of equipment that we supply our, you know,
I'm not gonna-
tasers are just a fine example.
I'm not going to go back and forth on that. I think it was disrespectful that nobody brought it before this board before we did it, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, I'll appreciate it left at that, I guess. There is a, in final rebuttal, I'll say there was no disrespect intended. I guess we understand Mr. Walker's vote, but for the rest of your votes, there was no disrespect intended whatsoever. During negotiations, we were still in the process of getting the vehicle, the major funding mechanism that moved this motion forward. That was not through the forfeiture process at that time. We were still going through that. Once the vehicle that was the major funding source for this project, once that was finalized through circuit court, through Judge Snagowski, that signed off the document that turned that vehicle over to us, this project has moved much more rapidly. And during negotiations, that was way out in the future at that point. So I'm sorry if Mr. Walker's vote is made, but I'll appeal to the rest of you. None of there's certainly no disrespect intended whatsoever. Still, I'm sorry to feel that way, but I truly feel this is an opportunity to upgrade the equipment across the board. There's several pieces of equipment that we provide to our corrections officers that are not on in contracted. We're using our corrections officers more and more every day for additional duties besides the normal in-house duties. They're taking over a lot of our transports for us, either completely corrections and or going with our deputies on a more high-risk transport. They have to be armed to do that. They do, when we send out an inmate work crew to the fair, we can't have them going out if they're not armed. As it is currently right now, the corrections officers that are armed are arming themselves. They've got a hodgepodge of, I was checking in this morning, they've got Tauruses, Smith, HK, CZ, and Glocks. So an array of calibers from 9mm, 40s, and 45s. Whereas the road is all, we've made it an effort to all be like armed, or like caliber. We'd like to move that to the corrections deputies as well, as they are doing more and more duties outside. Just like setting on an inmate at the hospital that we have to do all the time, very, very often. the correction officer has to be armed. It's more financially responsible for us to have a correction officer down there doing it, if they're armed and capable of doing it. If they're not armed, they can't do it. They're not capable of going out on a mission like that, on duty like that. And we feel we'd like to have the entire department armed similarly.
Again, gentlemen, I'm not talking about the merits of it. I'm talking about the procedure. Because I guarantee you, if the Board of Commissioners did something like this, and it wasn't with the union, that we'd be filing a grievance, there'd be a grievance filed and we would lose it. We would never, ever consider doing something like this outside the scope of the contract.
Mr. McCormick?
That's exactly what I was thinking is, if it was going the other way, the contract would be right up front. You'd be staying on the contract, so you have to do it. When it's going this way, you're giving somebody a benefit that's not included in the contract, then it's all, that's fine. So it's kind of, contradictory a little bit. It goes in favor, then it's fine. If it goes against, then no, then we gotta stand on the contract.
Well, does anybody, I
That
don't.
being said,
Go
I
ahead.
do agree with what you're doing. I think it's important that everybody has the same and the best. So that's a good thing, but this contract thing, that's a problem. I mean, we can't have that. We can't use the contract when we need it and then not use it when we don't need it,
I agree. I understand that.
I'd be curious to know what the verbiage of that section of the contract is. I'm not aware. This is the first I've heard of this concern.
It has a list. It has a list of the items that are provided and that handguns are not.
So currently, a correction officer is to be furnished with the following items, if you'd like me to.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
3 winter shirts, 3 summer shirts, 3 pair of trousers, 1 long winter jacket, 2 neckties, 1 summer cap with rain cover, 1 winter cap, 1 hat badge, 1 shirt badge, 1 lightweight jacket, 1 coat badge, 1 name bar, 1 set of corrections officers' collar pins, 1 whistle and chain, 1 pair of winter gloves, a pair of dress shoes to be replaced when worn out or damaged, and not to exceed 1 pair per year. Old or worn out shoes are to be turned over to the sheriff for replacement, and 1 pair of handcuffs. That's what is in the contract. Now, what other items, it doesn't mention a duty belt. It doesn't mention body armor. It doesn't mention a flashlight or flashlight holder. It doesn't mention a cut down tool and holster. It doesn't mention taser.
I mean, I view that list as a minimum equipment list that the sheriff's department's going to provide. So I understand the concern, but I would view that as a minimum equipment list, and we're not tied to providing more equipment to properly do the job.
Mr. Beggs, I think that's a very, very slippery slope. That being the minimum equipment, because we could come in with something that's gonna cost $100,000 and we could get a bill for it.
I mean,
Over and above.
Does the contract say that we'll provide our road patrol deputies with a car?
No.
So
Do you wanna open that discussion?
I mean,
I don't.
it's a vital piece of equipment to do their duty, so if I understand a contract's a contract, but
It would probably be best that we not get into a lot of things like take-home cars and all of that with the cost that we have now.
yeah.
And I'm trying to hold costs down so we don't end up with layoffs.
Mhm. Yep.
Because we're responsible for the finance of it.
Yep.
And that's what I'm trying to look at, that we don't get over the tops with those layoffs someplace.
And as well, I've tried to address the finance of this, to find a funding mechanism for this project as well. We've tried to make this as budget neutral as we can to come forth and bring this upgrade to the entire department. So we've come, trying to be fiscally responsible, to find a funding mechanism, so we don't have to come here and ask the board to partner with this on something that we didn't budget or didn't contract. So we really, again, no disrespect intended whatsoever, our efforts were to make this a budget neutral request.
To address one of the other things that was mentioned, so I generally, as a reserve deputy, I am not to build myself up, but I am an expert in firearms. I don't have any credentials, but I live, eat, and breathe them. I've seen a lot of our corrections deputies provide their own weapon, and when the sheriff says it's a hodgepodge, often it's what I would consider a subpar weapon for the work being performed, often not matched well to the deputy that's carrying it. Now, this will be a one-size-fits-all, but it will also be a very usable platform. While not my preferred platform, personally, it will be a platform able to be suited to each individual officer with grip size, and then the sighting system. It will be a reliable weapon, which sometimes reserves and corrections sometimes bring weapons that just aren't reliable, and this will be a big step for corrections officers to have a reliable weapon at hand that once they're familiar with it and trained in it will be a big step in the right direction.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
I'm curious about corrections officers carrying firearms, in that they're carrying them on a concealed carry permit then?
That's correct.
And if they go to the hospital and sit with a patient then in the hospital, they're operating under their own concealed carry permit?
If they're on duty, you know, they're not concealing, they're obviously, and they're on duty. So they have that permit so they can transport back and forth in their personal vehicles, coming to and from. While they're on duty, they're not concealed, they're really open carry at that point, performing a duty of their employment. You know, we're asking many of them to do it already without providing with a necessary. Yes, that's one of the wrongs that we're trying to address right now with this. So that, you know, Mr. McCormick, being bitterly honest, there was no, you know, we didn't sit back and scheme in reference to the contract whatsoever about this.
Exactly.
Really, this was brought forth as a budget neutral item that we thought we could find a funding mechanism for and move into a more useful piece of equipment without having to come to the board with a handout, you know, asking for assistance.
But as a corrections officer in the line of duty, they are allowed to open carry in the line of duty while on the job, no matter where.
And while they're uniformed, we have them get a concealed pistol license so that they can travel to and from work in their personal vehicles. While especially, most of them don't dress here at the office. Most of them dress at home, so they are dressed as a sheriff's deputy would. And if they are dressed out in the public, etc., they need to be armed to protect themselves and or the public. They're going to be expected to perform that should anything arise, so they need to be armed to do that. Anything else? Mr. Hardy, I haven't heard from you.
No, I was just looking, I'm trying to remember when we actually, I mean, this isn't new, this has been brought to our attention months ago when you actually came in with the sale of the seized asset. I was just kind of perusing through my commissioner notes trying to find out when that went, but it's been... It's been a few months in the process, it has. Yep. Yeah, so it's nothing new, and again, I think it's like Commissioner Begg said, it's important, even with the corrections officers, that everybody has the same. And it does say in the POM contract for the corrections officers, it's approved weapon by the sheriff's department, or by the sheriff.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Be provided.
Didn't say provided,
No.
approved.
So-
But I think there's the same thing that, you know, and I understand the comments going on, but there's a lot of things to get provided that have to come to the board to be approved. They're not in the contract, and everything is not in the contract. But you know, it still passes through us. So, and being budget neutral, I don't have an issue with it.
Mr. Erickson, anything else?
No, I feel pretty comfortable with it, you know, to get rid of the hodgepodge of weapons. My only concern is the surplus weapons, then, are they being purchased also by deputies?
So they're being traded in,
Mhm.
or the deputies were allowed the opportunity to purchase their existing handgun. Now, they're not allowed to purchase a pool, or, you know, they're not buying 6 or 8 handguns. I'm not outfitting an army, but if they wanted to purchase for the same price that we were getting for trade-ins, that...
Keep their weapon.
Yes, so a few of us, myself included, have chosen to do that. So we've got those funds to be included in this to cover the purchase price. And the rest of them will be traded in to the supplier. Anything else? No? Okay. No disrespect intended whatsoever.
Thanks,
Okay.
Sheriff.
Yep. We
Thanks,
did all
Sheriff.
day.
All right. Any department head reports?
So guys, kind of a busy day for us. Some of the things I mentioned. We're going to be going up the road commission as well. The road commission open house is today, so we're going to have our waymasters there as part of the road commission, really pertinent to the road commission, and we're going to have seatbelt and car seat enforcement deputies there as well, doing car seat installs if there should be any requirement. Usually there always is. Holly always will be there providing the car seats, and then my deputies will be there installing them appropriately. We've also got Ryan and some others are up at that limited access Dune community meeting that's going on right now. So it's kind of a busy day for us with a few things like that going on. We do have our Golden Township deputy is working now. He made it to the Golden Township meeting. He shook every hand there, introducing himself. Brendan introduced himself to everybody that he didn't know, and he knew quite a few of them, but and that was just what we wanted. We wanted him to go there, be a part of their meetings, be known. So that program is starting, is working out well. I think we have 41 in jail this morning, so jail is down a little bit, but the guys on the road have been busy. Okay.
Any questions for the sheriff on that regard?
Thanks.
Thanks, sir. Any public comment for courts and public safety before we close? Hearing none, we'll adjourn.
Okay, moving on, we'll call to order the Finance and Administration Committee. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. McCormick?
Here.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
All right. I will ask for approval of the minute from May 28th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Beggs, supported by McCormick. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for approval of the agenda.
So move.
Support.
Motion by Erickson, support by Walker. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Is there any public comment this time for Finance and Administration Committee? Hearing none, I will move on. Demolition and removal of canopy and concrete stairway, Administrator Briard.
The bids came in and they have been provided for you. There was some discussion prior to the board meeting with our maintenance director, Chris. He was talking about the stairs being removed. However, he did say that they would be able to do the roof, the canopy piece, so themselves, and that the amounts that are listed here will probably be lower than what would have been provided, because that's included in here. Paul, Joel, did you have anything you want to add about that?
May I, gentlemen? Tracy brought up something that I discussed with Joel, that when we replaced those stairs, Tracy asked if they could be replaced with steel instead of with concrete. If we replace them with concrete, we're going to take a big pump truck to pump that concrete over the top of the building in here. And if they put steel in there, they can pick it up, and it'll be made to fit right in it. They can pick the steel up with the grating in it, which we will not have the problem with the salt eating the steel away in the future as bad, because you won't have to salt it because it'd be grated steel. And Sheriff, I thought Tracy had a good point. Joel?
Paul and I talked to Chris about that. Chris was looking at getting a couple quotes on manufactured stairs that are a erector set, which sounds like a good option. I think Paul mentioned we should reach out to Tri-Berry
And he's done that already.
Okay,
Yeah.
and see if that's something that would be in their ballpark. But yeah, I think that's a good option. If we get have the demolition done, remove it, and Chris felt comfortable with doing the repair on the canopy portion of it, and I think he's getting quotes on aluminum stair parts, which should be fine. So I think it's a good option.
Yeah, with the steel, it'd be a lot easier to keep clean in the winter time, and
Well, and we talked about quotes on those, and we've seen some pictures of them, but I thought we might be able to give Jim Laporte a shot at it, because then it would be stainless steel.
Sure.
And not aluminum, and he's right here.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that open stairway is a better concept than making do it with concrete again.
The only other thing we don't know is when we remove that, what the condition of that wall is behind there. But I mean, it's a poured foundation, but I mean, as far as the appearance of it, but I think whatever it is, I mean, if we just clean it up and it's tight, it should be fine. It's a back entrance, it's not like it's our public entrance.
Yeah.
And the sheriff probably wouldn't have trouble with the inmates looking at it. Well,
I'm glad that you're looking into it, because I thought it was a very good idea when Tracy mentioned that to me about why we're not
yeah, I
considering
think
that.
that's a good option.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, moving on. Ms. Martin, Drain Commissioner. Resolution authorizing annual expenditures for Lake Holiday lake level.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Good morning, Michelle.
I'm here to request board approval of a resolution to move forward with a Lake Holiday tow dam. Let me untwist my tongue. Tow drain rehabilitation and or replacement project. As you know, I'm responsible for maintaining the legal lake level out there and the dam. And over the past several years, the dam has experienced persistent wet areas, mainly on the north side of the embankment. There's also some minor sloughing on the south side of the embankment. And during the 2025 engineering inspection, seepage and sloughing was also obviously recognized by the engineer who did the inspection. When he saw all of this, he confirmed what we've been seeing for quite some time. And it was also noted in the 2021 inspection. Both are indicators of potential internal erosion within the embankment. Last fall, and I had mentioned some of this in my annual report, that last fall a hole was discovered on the dam embankment, and it was inspected by the engineer for approximately 2 weeks. We looked at it, monitored it. It was subsequently repaired by Hale Contracting, and 6A limestone was put in, some more soil, and top seeded and vegetated. After the engineer's inspection, he determined that the hole was not caused by human activity or by animal burrowing into the embankment. He believed it was an internal soil collapse. While isolated soil collapses are common in earthen and embankment dams, when it's considered alongside of the known drainage concerns and the tow drain system, it's a condition that warrants kind of a proactive corrective action. Review of historical records and discussions with individuals in the 2009-2010 dam repair indicate that while some of the tow drains were replaced during that project, portions of the original drainage system likely remain in use. And several of the drains shown on built plans could not be located, while other known drains are not functioning as intended. And to better understand it, so one of the things that we are required to do is clean these tow drains out to make sure that they're functioning properly and draining, and we have not been able to locate them to do that. On the north side of the embankment, it's always been very wet. It's not on the steep, it's kind of around the corner on that north side. We've always known that there was one, but this last April when we had the high rains, we noticed that there was water coming out in different areas. We were able to locate another drain that we had never known about before. It was not on the plans, and the water was not coming out of the drains but coming alongside of them further up the embankment. And it's not really that steep there, but because that north side obviously is tying into the rest of it, like I said, it's always been wet, but now we saw during that high rain event that how much water was coming out but not coming out of the tow drains like they were supposed to. So last year we did a lot of investigating, probing, physical probing. We used metal detection, and we also hired soils and structures to come in and do some GPR locating. And we located the lateral drains that the other drains tie into to get down to the lake. Those were, they're staked out there now, they've been flagged. And obviously tow drains are a critical component of the dam because they're designed to safely collect the water that's in the earthen embankment and get it down into the lake. But with the combination of the seepage, the sloughing, and the internal collapse, we obviously know at this point that the tow drains are not functioning as they properly should be, and if we tried to clean out what's there, some of them are cracked at the bottom, that we don't really know. We're not going to be cleaning out if they're broke up further. So anyway, based on that 2025 inspection and consulting with our engineering consultant, that's the most, what we should do is rehabilitate or replace the existing tow drains before it gets any further damaged. Doing it now would be the most cost-effective and long-term solution. There is no imminent failure, dam failure right now, any danger of that happening. We're going to continue monitoring it and mowing the whole embankment. The last few years we've hired Muskegon Conservation District to mow, and at the request of the Upper Silver Lake Association we did it in zones, and we'd always keep one zone open for milkweeds because of for monarch habitat. That was their request because it is their property, and this year we will not be doing that so that we can keep the whole dam embankment clear, so for visibility, so that we can monitor it better. I really did not want to do this now because it still has that lake level assessment district still has a bond obligation until 2029, but waiting any longer would probably not be cost prohibitive because it could basically, at the higher cost and more, possible, damage could be done, so. Anyway, under Part 307, this is a formality that we have to do this for me to spend over 10,000, and have you approve that and authorize that resolution. So if we do through this process and you approve or do the resolution, what comes next is the engineering, design, and permitting, competitive bidding. Then I would prepare an assessment roll, computation of costs with the assessment roll. There would be a public hearing, and then you would have, at that point, then it would come to you for county board approval of the assessment. Then I would go through bond financing and a bond council. I don't know if we'd have to do a bond, how much money it's going to be, if we'd actually have to get a bond, or if it would just be a loan. But then once we have financing, then it would be construction. Because we won't know what that is, project costs are not yet available. The only thing I know at this time is that engineering is about $20,000 to get it to the bidding process for construction. And yeah, like I said, well, there's no imminent failure. I want to be proactive with this and not have it go any further. Do you have
Yes,
any
Ms. Briggs.
questions?
Yeah, so 2 questions. So the funding of this goes back to the assessment district, which is the residents of Lake Holiday.
Correct.
And then, so we're familiar with Crystal Valley Dam, which is a low hazard dam. You said they're imminent. What is, obviously I imagine this is a moderate or a high.
It's a high hazard dam.
So if this were ignored for, who knows what, but it let loose some lake.
2029,
Yeah,
ideally.
and Lake Holiday let loose into Upper Silver Lake. Obviously, there's a lot of cottages near lake level that could be
Right.
in jeopardy.
Which
so-
goes from Upper Silver into Hunter Creek, which
Yeah,
goes down
right,
to
yeah.
Silver Creek Village and into Silver Lake. So
Yeah, if we have a
it's-
inundation, then yeah, it's Hunter's Creek. Yeah, there's,
It's millions of dollars worth
Right.
of property damage.
yeah.
And it's been a hot potato all my life. But
All dams are.
yeah, but we have no issues anymore of anyone tampering with the lake level
No.
as we had in the past.
No.
So with that being taken care of, we need the engineering study. We've got to make that dam safe.
Yeah. So the engineering, the 20,000 that I mentioned is going to be obviously design, permitting through Eagle, working with soils and structures. They'll be coming out and doing soil borings to find out types of soil, how much water, is not getting out like it's supposed to. So once they have theirs, soils and structures has their report done, the engineering firm will be working with Eagle to see what their requirements are going to be, if the 5 holes that they're proposing is going to be enough, or if they have to do more. But yes, the engineering fees would get us to the actual bidding process. And I've already talked to a bond attorney, because even if I get a $2,000 loan, I have to use a bond attorney.
Mr.
So-
Walker?
I look at this as better sooner than later.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I was very hesitant because of this previous obligation. Probably, I would say at least 50% of the properties are already have paid completely in full for this bond. So it would affect a few that would have to pay double assessments, unfortunately.
They've paid up on their own. Is that?
Yes,
Is that how
either that
works?
or, yes, or when property sells, then the seller has to,
Oh.
has to pay that off
I
in
see.
full. So-
Interesting.
Right. Mr.
How many owners are in the pool? Do you have any idea?
Yes, around
What kind of distribution the cost is?
40 to 41, but
Oh, it's
one
not
of-
a very big
It's
group.
not a very big district. However,
I
Upper
don't-
Silver Lake Association, I believe, and I'm not completely sure, but I believe that Upper Silver Lake Association charges back the property owners in Upper Silver Lake through their dues.
Oh,
In a large portion of Lake Holiday, Lake Shore is owned by one entity. So there's a, what is it, 80-70% or something like that.
Grace Adventures is
Yeah,
the.
so they own a lion's share of the parcels around the lake, and then it's a bunch of cottages.
Who actually owns the dam?
I think I've been in front of the board before. We were trying to get to the point where it sits on Grace Adventures property. The inlet structure does. The outlet structure and the embankment sits on Upper Silver Lake Association property.
It's messy.
It's
And it's
messy.
been a conversation since I've been on the board.
I remembered when an individual lowered it. I think that's what Paul was referring to here a few years back, that somebody dropped the level of that dam right down, and that was not nice.
No. And right now, the way it sits, unless you went, I mean, there's the catwalk with the gate, we have the gate locked. You know, there's an emergency spillway. We have to operate that every year to make sure that it's functioning in case there was an emergency situation. And that would be the only way right now that somebody could actually lower the lake at this point, the way it was designed. So.
And I see downstream from Uppers Dam, that's owned by the Upper Silver Lake Improvement Association on GIS.
Yes, they have actually 2 dams on Upper Silver Lake, right? So, yeah, that association maintains their own dam.
But this is on the down
This is
water side
the
of-
Lake Holiday Dam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, upper, yep. Yeah, and like you had said, Tim, there's, Grace is heavily involved in that.
Mhm. And so with the bond assessment that's been going on since that repair in 2009, 2010, they have been getting assessed additionally to help pay for the inspections, a lot of the investigation that we're doing last year, and that's why it's to the point now where are we going to keep putting money into investigating this, or are we just going to go ahead and get this taken care of, because I don't want to keep spending money trying to find these drains if they might not even exist, or if the ones that might be, damaged, that we know are damaged. So I think it'd just be cost effective to do it this way, to do it now.
Any other questions or comments?
GIS has Grace owning, the upwater side of that structure also, so it's Grace and it's Upper Silver Lake. Better sooner than later. Got a lot of an investment on upper.
Right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Very well put, Michelle.
Okay, moving on, settlement agreement for County Council Administrator Briard.
I don't really have anything additional to add. It's the same as what was previously discussed, and we're asking for approval today.
All right, thank you. Administrator's review of selected claims for payment and administrative report, Ms. Briard.
Claims of payment have been provided for you. Does anyone have any questions on that?
I would just like to make a statement on one of them. We have in the claims for payment, let me get there. There it is, thank you. We have one claim there for public improvement for $6,548.45. That was for the mower at the airport with the bat wings on it. And I realize how expensive that is. This is something that Tracy and I talked about. The replacement of that mower is $210,000. So I find that $6,500 is a maintenance thing that we have to do.
Yeah.
Tracy, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, other than I had a conversation with Kurt about it, and he said I'd rather pay this amount than having $110,000. I mean, we'll continue to look at grant funding to see if we can come up with the funds to replace it for right now, that's what we got.
We're not gonna drive by a John Deere mower with a 36-inch deck on it to cut the airport.
Well, and on top of that, he uses that to mow the animal control as
Yeah,
well, so.
He's very gracious.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Administrator's report. Report's been provided for you. I just have a couple things to add. There was a discussion about the golf cart that the sheriff's department was disposing of. I believe it was at the last meeting. That is now out at the county airport, being used by Kurt, and it's also being used by the Parks and Rec. So he has it housed out there, and so they can use it whenever they need to.
Better use.
Yep.
Probably can't get much for it anyway.
Very good use for it.
Yeah. Yep.
And the other thing from my standpoint, if there's minor maintenance on it, Kurt's just gonna fix it.
Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing. I did go out and talk with them for a while. Apparently they're waiting for some to be removed from the end of the runway.
Mhm.
And I went through and researched some of the grants available for equipment out there, and he said right now he's locked and he cannot apply for any of those grants until that dirt gets moved. And it was supposed to be done this spring, but there was some hatch of a moth or something that they had to wait for, and so he's waiting for that to be done, and then I think he's going to very aggressively apply for some of the grants that are available. So
Okay.
Pardon me for the snicker, I'm not laughing about it, I'm laughing with you.
yeah.
So, in addition, I wanted to let you know that our mediation, it did not pay off. However, the mediator did rule in our favor. So they presented it to MIDC, and MIDC said, "Sorry, we're not going to honor what the mediator said."
That's not how that works.
No, it is not. So, I know in the motion that the board allowed me to move forward with litigation, and that is what Lake County is planning on doing. So if there's any opposition to that, then the board needs to let me know, but.
No. I guess go for it.
Okay.
They think just because they're the state government, they can ignore how things work? Is that
Yeah.
really what it boils down to?
Well, and it's really kind of funny because at my county administrators conference, I was having breakfast one morning with a county administrator who's in a larger county, and he's actually on the MIDC board. And he started off telling me that he thought it was crazy that Toby would think that he would be able to get those funds from MIDC, and that the way it's calculated, it's just not right. And I said, well, unfortunately, I'm in the boat with Lake County. Oceana County is fighting it as well.
So
He
essentially they said,
"Oh,
you two little counties, I can't believe you've done this.
Yes.
How dare you?"
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So, in some instances, with cost allocation, with regards to indirect costs, sometimes they include the Board of Commissioners in that calculation. Well, that's what they're saying, is that the Board of Commissioners shouldn't be paid for doing MIDC work. And I argued that point, stating that I'm sorry, but my payroll clerk, my accounts payable clerk, our HR and finance, and myself all do work with regards to MIDC, and we get paid nothing for that. So that was the argument with him, and he kind of left it at that, and so that's where we're at.
Yeah.
With regards to opioid, I put a little bit of information in my administrator's report, but I had a meeting yesterday with community mental health and with the health department, and we have been in contact with Amy Dolinky with the Michigan Association of Counties, and she is putting together an RFP for the 4 the 4 most important items that came out of that survey. And the health department and mental health agreed that we should probably put a neutral party committee, a very small committee, together to review those RFPs. It would still allow mental health and health department to be able to apply and put it in an RFP on those bids. But they thought that that was the best route to go. Of course, RFPs, any of the bids will be approved by the board because that is opioid funds that have come into the county, so that will be forthcoming.
Greg, may I?
Yes, please.
Just as a precautionary thing, this board appointed the opiate committee, and I understand the wanting to go to a subcommittee to look at that. As a matter of fact, at our oversight board for the funds for community for mental health in West Michigan last night, after you had told me about what you were doing, the other counties were very interested in how you've selected the thing. The use of opiate funds we have found are so restrictive that a county really can't do anything on their own. You know, it's really for treatment. And we ventured into several different things, but because the board appointed the committee to look into this, I'd like a concurrence from the board members on the record that we agree that a subcommittee should be the one going to look at this, because community mental health and the health department are both parts of that committee, and they should not be part of the subcommittee that are making the decision on how we use it. So, you know, is there a concurrence from the board members that they're allowed to set up a subcommittee to proceed with this, to bring it before us?
I think that's the way to go, yeah.
So Joseph, for the record, that the board all concurred that the opiate committee will be allowed to set up a subcommittee to review the RSPs, issue the RSPs, and review them when they come back to them. I just want to make sure that we're above boards with this, so nobody says they didn't have the authority to do that on their own. So thank you, Craig.
Craig, I've got a question for
Yes.
Tracy. When will I saw the GIS Spicer is now, our GIS, Beacon's done. While we were talking about the damages, so Beacon is still what shows up on our website. Do you know when that switchover will take place?
I do not.
Okay.
I know that, I believe it's at the end of this month that Spicer Group will be taking over total control.
Okay.
And then they are also working with equalization, not with Ed Vandervees, but someone that works for him in the office. She's training on how to make the changes as they come in. So when Register of Deeds sends those in, Anna's making those changes right away.
Very cool.
So
I was reminded as I was looking why I disliked the previous vendor.
Yeah.
Their interface is just no good.
With that being said, I think we have to be cautious looking at any of the owners or any of the deeds, because I don't think there's been a lot of information put on the old system lately. I think it, it's dated. There's a lot of transfers and sales that are being done, and those transactions are not reflecting on our GIS system though.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Is there any public comment at this time for Finance and Administration Committee? Hearing none, we will adjourn the Finance and Administration Committee and take the break until 11:30 for the regular board meeting.